If you're a subscriber and have stumbled onto this video, I will say it's probably not for you. This is only for friends and family. It wouldn't be interesting unless you're actually going on this trip. So I would recommend not to watch it. That being said, guys, I have a new program that records video from my computer, and you will be hearing me live and unedited. And also, as I'm talking, I can show you things, so follow my mouse. This is the South Fork of the Owyhee River. We have higher water flow this year. I'm completely guessing, but I'm thinking we're going to have around 1,200 CFS. I'm hoping, you never know what the weather's going to be like. Maybe it'll melt, before April and it'll all be gone, or maybe we'll get another winter storm. Who knows? But I think we're going to have more water than we did last year. So I think our bucket list, or my bucket list, is to float every section of the Owyhee River. And so I guess what I'm saying, now that we have higher water, we should take advantage of and do some upper sections of the Owyhee River. So I've narrowed it down to 2, maybe 3 trips that we should do. I mean, your input is valued, and please give input. That's what I want. I want input. And I mean, watch this video and don't tell me while we're floating it, you didn't tell me about this, because I did, if you would have watched the videos. So okay, so if our last trip, this is where we accessed, this is where we put in at, and we floated, and this is South Fork that we saw. We floated by. We thought about camping there, but there were no firewood. So this is the South Fork, and this is what I'm saying we should do. This is one option, but it can only be done at higher water, and we have higher water now. Our last trip was 35 miles. It took us 6 days. So we have Owyhee Ranch to the South Fork launch site is 20 miles. We have the Nevada pipeline crossing, which is the South Fork launch site. I mean, I don't know why there's different names. 245 Ranch is 25 miles. So to float the entire South Fork of the Owyhee River is 45 miles. So I am thinking that maybe we need to do the shorter trips, the 20-mile trip or the 25-mile trip. Okay, so on our last trip, you might think, Wes took me on a crazy adventure. It was way over our head. We were way over our heads. In actuality, it was one of the easiest rapid-wise trips there are. Yes, it was one of the most difficult access that there are. The only other difficult access and remoteness would be where you take out at Crutcher's Crossing. So it was the most remote area that we did go on. But as far as rapid-wise, it was one of the easiest. The other areas of the Owyhee have a lot more difficult rapids. And I think what we did is kind of like the Imogene trip. And Shane and Rich will know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the Imogene trip. It's a backpacking trip we took that every other backpack trip compares to it, and nothing ever compares to it because it was the best trip ever. And I think this trip that we took in the Owyhees is going to be like the best trip we ever took. So nothing's going to be quite as good as it. And we're always going to be comparing it to it. But it wasn't. It was the best trip for us to do as newbies. Now, if we have a lot of water, we can do different parts of the Owyhee, which does have easier rapids. And we're still learning. I mean, all of us are. And you want to have fun rapids. So back to the plan. So I'm thinking South Fork of the Owyhee River. We have good water flow. We should do that. We have the YP Ranch of the South Fork launch site, which is 20 miles. Let's check that out. Okay, so right here we got the South Fork launch site, which that's not where we'll be launching. Sorry about this. We would be at the YP launch site, and we would take out at the South Fork launch site, or we could put it in at the South Fork launch site and take out at the 45 Ranch launch site. Or we could do the YP launch site all the way to the 45 Ranch launch site. Let's go check it out. This is the YP launch site. Landowner permission is required. So we got the YP Ranch right here. This is the number. You can call them. This was in 2012, so maybe the number is not right anymore, but I have gotten some other contacts that I've friended on Facebook and people who live near there. Or I'm also thinking we need to have people pick us up, and maybe they have recent numbers of people we can call. And a lot of times they just want to know who's parked on their land. Who is this strange vehicle parked on our land? They don't really care if we're floating the river. They just want to know why we're there and who we are. And so I'm hoping that they're really nice people that just want to know who's coming on their land. And that's all we need to do is call them and tell them, hey, is it okay if we come on your land? We're going to park a truck there for a few days. Okay, so some people have done the South Fork of the Upper Owyhee River. They've done it above 250. They're saying it's pretty easy. But they're saying they did it in 3 days. The first 3 days of the trip. So the fourth day, they can do the confluence of East Fork. So theoretically, we could do the entire South Fork of the Owyhee in 3 days. Although seems unlikely to me, but it could be done. We could do the whole entirety of South Fork, the 45-mile trip, instead of a 20 and a 25-mile trip on our trip. And how much exploring do we want to do? I guess that's another question. Do we want to take more time and say, hey, we're allotting time to explore these canyons? That's another thing to consider. So back to the book. This would be our YP launch site. I saw one post where you can camp here and explore this 4 Mile Creek coming in. It's a pretty neat canyon, is what I've heard. Let's go down. So from there, this is 4 Mile Creek coming in. Boom, 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 campsites. We hit 12 Mile. You can read that on your own time. Pretty much up there. Owyhee River. Let's go down to here. Campsites. Here we go. So on the 20-mile trip, we have one Devil's Corral, and I think that's a yellow. I think that's a class 4. I'm not sure, but the shuttle route, it's an easy portage. I'm sorry. It's, let's just say it's a million times easier than the cabin. And this is the South Fork pipeline launch site. It's all, yeah, so that's the shuttle route. And what I'm thinking is what we could do is we could drive to this launch site. This is private land. It's probably a pretty good road to here. We can park our vehicle and we can raft. And then we can have someone pick us up at this point and take us back to our car. The only problem would be is we need to be right on our dates. Rich does have text message. We could text the picker-upper people. Yes, that's a word, picker-upper people. And we could go ahead and text them and say, okay, I think we're planning on being there at 4 o'clock. Because you know us, we're not gonna, maybe we're a day late. But Rich does have the ability to text people. I guess the only major concern I would have is that what if they didn't pick us up? What if we're sitting here stranded and no one picked us up? What are we going to do then? Okay, wait. I don't even want to put that into your mind. Yeah, let's just forget that. So, this isn't a bad section, but it's pretty. Now, is it as pretty as what we've went through? Probably not. The canyon's not quite as cool. But let's just zoom in on a spot in here and just check it out. So let's say the water flow is a little higher. I've learned by looking at this is really low water flow. This is probably August water flow. So we got a high water flow. Look at these rocks, okay? Those are going to be fun. They're not, any class 3, 4, 5 rapids, but these will be fun rapids to go through. So it is going to be a fun float through this. There's all sorts of stuff to go through. And going through those rocks, that's when it's fun, is when you're hitting those rocks. Maybe there's rocks everywhere. I just went to a random spot, but, I think it would still be a fun float, even though it's not like a high class float. As far as beautiful canyons go, it's not going to compare, to be honest with you. There might be some. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. Cool canyon right here. So yeah, let's just call that the Upper South Fork trip. And I'm just kind of imparting on you the research I've done. And this is not a planning trip. This is just a scouting trip where we can decide, okay, this is what we want to do this trip. And we can all decide that together. The pictures I've been putting up are pictures from the South Fork. This is the South Fork. And they do look like the pictures I showed you from. And yeah, these do look like, zooming in on the aerial view on Google Maps, they look completely like it. This is what it looks like zooming in, pretty rocky. Which higher water would be a lot of fun. It's going to be challenging, even though this isn't a class 3 rapid right here. But it's going to be challenging. So I guess I'll end this video saying, this is a substitution for us sitting down all together and looking. I'm making this video and saying, okay, this is what I found. What do you guys think? What do you guys want to do? So please give me your feedback and let me know how you feel.